So now that we've set up our drill through capabilities, let's talk about how to design an actual drill through summary page for that capability. So I'll return to my summary page that I'd already set up. And again, my drill through is currently set for the genre field from my video games dataset. I'm going to leave this turned on because when you're designing drill through pages, it's important to remember that these pages are intended to always be filtered by something. Without this drill through capability or without this filter turned on, there's no longer really anything distinguishing this page from any other page that we would create. So it kind of defeats the purpose of even creating drill through in the first place. So I'm going to go back to drill through and I'm going to select another item just for the purposes of building our drill through summary page. So I'll just use sci-fi for the purpose of building the drill through summary. And you can see that genre is currently limited to just one value. I'm going to put this over here for safekeeping. And now I just need to decide what other visuals my users might want to see about the sci-fi genre. I've already created some visuals just in the interest of time. And so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab these visuals. And I'm just going to cut and paste them onto my summary page. And you can see that sure enough, as soon as I put these visuals on this page, they're just showing the small number of sci-fi games that my dataset contains. So currently, this is working just fine. If you want to continue testing this, you can go back to the back page. It actually took me to the visuals page. So I'll go back to my original page where my bar chart is. And I'm going to right click on action instead, and I'm going to drill through on that. So now the page is just showing action, and it's listing all of my action titles. So everything seems to be working correctly. So now I'm just going to add some additional flavor to this drill through page, just so my users know what it is and they know exactly what they're looking at. I'm going to open up my paintbrush. And what I like to do for my drill through pages is just give it a slightly different look and feel than other pages on the report. Because I want people to know that this page is always filtered. It's not quite like other things that they may have seen in the report. I accidentally made my background color the same color as my back button. So I'm just going to go over and click on my back button and change the icon color from that dark gray to white so that it stands out. While I'm here, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that it catches users' attention. And something else that I like to do as a best practice is, because drill through pages are made to be filtered by a specific genre, for example, I like to create a card that calls out that filter so that users know when they land on this page, they're just looking at action genre data. So I'm going to turn that table that I created into a card. I'm going to go over to my formatting options, and I'm just going to change the color to white so that action stands out. I'm going to increase the size a little bit, and I'm going to also make sure that they can see what data item they're looking at. I'll increase the size of my category label to 15. That's big enough. I'll make it white as well, just so that we know. Now, you might be wondering why the category label says first genre. And that is what happens when you add a text value to a card. Because cards can only show one value, anything you put in a card has to aggregate somehow. And since text values can't be summed or averaged, they can only be counted, or they can show the first or last value in that field. Now, since this report page is currently filtered by genre, I could pick first, I could pick last. It doesn't matter. Action doesn't change because action is currently the only genre selected. So I usually just change this to something less confusing for the user, such as selected genre. That way, any user who comes to this summary page knows that they're looking at action data, and that's the genre that is currently applied behind the scenes. And we can go back to the original bar chart, and we can select I'll pick on family this time, pick a different field from that bar chart, go to the summary page, and we can see that the genre is now family, and we're just looking at all of our different made-up family video games. So let's talk about some more best practices for designing this, because again, the Main thing that can go wrong with a drill through page is if the filter selection that was made was suddenly broken. Because this card, for example, wouldn't make any sense if there wasn't one genre selected. Notice what happens if I clear the filters here. Now it's showing Western as the value in the card, even though I'm clearly looking at all of my data again, not just Westerns. So you want to make sure that users can't accidentally break this filter logic. They should only be looking at one genre. So let's just go back and make another selection here. And what we can do, if you'll think back to when we were talking about filters and slicers, we can lock and we can even hide this drill through filter that's taking place in the background. Our user doesn't need to know that it's there if we've designed our drill through page correctly. It should be intuitive for them to use. They shouldn't have to worry about changing their filter selection here. If they want to change their filter selection, we want them to go back to the bar chart and choose something different this way. So locking and hiding, this functionality in the online experience just keeps users from accidentally causing headaches for themselves. And another thing that you want to do with these drill through pages is design them to be a dead end in your report, meaning that users can't go forward from here. They can only use the back button to go back to where they were. That's why I usually put these summary pages at the very end of a report. And if you notice, all I did was I just dragged it to the end. And if you hide the summary page, that ensures that users can't even accidentally click on this page if they were looking at this report online. Literally, if they were online, the summary page wouldn't even show up, but they could still access it and view it by using this chart, which is our best case scenario. That's what we want them to do. So if they right click on the horror genre, they can access the summary view, and then it would spit them out here, and they would just be on this page, and they would have no way to get back to everything else except to hit the back button. And that, in essence, is all you have to do to create a drill through summary page. You're just designing a page like you've designed every other report page, except you're designing a page to be filtered by something that you're using as a drill through layer on another visual.